Trade deadline day, where teams make a flurry of deals to try and improve their team before the final push to make the offseason or to win a Stanley Cup, and where teams that have been struggling to start the season sell off all their assets to try and build towards a brighter future. Although this trade deadline day seemed like it could have been a bit of a slow one due to the fact that many big sellers had sold some players, and many big players that would seem to be going had already been sold before the deadline, most notably Jake Muzzin and Matt Duchene. There still were quite a few big moves today, and I would like to take the time to basically look into them and see what they do mean for each of their teams. First off, I want to talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, and not just what they did today, what they've done basically over the past week. They've sold off much of their future to acquire Matt Duchene, Ryan Dzingel, Adam McQuaid, and Keith Kincaid. 4 UFAs this summer, all very talented players who significantly increase the abilities of this team and make this team significantly better. Now, I've seen teams go all out before, but this might be the most all out I've ever seen a team go for one season. In addition to already having Bobrovsky and Panarin, their 2 best players, on expiring contracts this year, they've just picked up a handful of quality players who are all also expiring, giving up significant portions of the future for them. First rounder for Duchene, some more picks for Kincaid and McQuaid and Dzingel, lots of picks going out, to the point where Columbus only has 2 draft picks this spring. They have their 3rd rounder and Calgary's 7th. Columbus needs to do something this year because their future going forward is not going to be that strong, just on the fact that they've given up so many draft picks. And basically, it seems to me what Columbus is doing right now is they're saying they're going for the cup this year because the odds of any of these players re-signing isn't that high. I know Panarin and Bobrovsky are probably gone. Duchene is iffy, though it doesn't seem like he's going to. Dzingel might. McQuaid and Kincaid, probably in terms of re-sign, doesn't matter as much in the grand scheme of things, because like McQuaid's an older and Kincaid's a backup. But this is really interesting because they don't have basically any draft picks this year, and in the next couple of years, depending on how many of these players leave, they might become quite bad, and that would be very sad to see for Columbus, especially since they've had so many years now where they've made the playoffs but haven't been able to do anything in them, and hopefully this year they can finally do something in the playoffs, maybe like Winnipeg last year and years of struggling and then get to the conference finals or further even, and that would be great for them, but we'll see. Other moves today start off nice and early, right after midnight. The San Jose Sharks acquired Gustav Nyquist for a 2nd and a conditional 3rd. This is good for San Jose, adding a bit of offensive talent to their team, giving up not that much in terms of their future, no first round picks leaving. San Jose, another scoring winger on there, a winger in Gustav Nyquist, who has been a very consistent scorer in Detroit. All in all, I think this is a solid addition for them. The Winnipeg Jets made a couple moves today, most notably acquiring Kevin Hayes from the New York Rangers. They had to give up Brendan Lemieux and a 1st and a conditional 4th to get him, but he is a very solid center, makes their center depth very good with his addition. They now have Scheifele, Hayes, and Little. That's a very good top 3. Really, this is a team that had great forward depth already, and they've just added to it. The Hurricanes sent Cliff Pugh to the Panthers for Thomas Yurko. This is an interesting little swap. Gives Carolina another forward option. They didn't go out and get a big signing offensively. This is the only deal of the day. So, it gives them a winger scoring potential, can pot in a few goals for them for a guy who will probably be in the NHL, but isn't a first-tier prospect. And for Florida, adding a guy who may help them in the future. The Panthers also traded Derek Brassard to Colorado for a 3rd rounder. For Colorado, this is a great move, gets them center depth and forward depth behind the top line, which they desperately need. And if they want to make the playoffs, they do need that. I am surprised that Brassard's value has tumbled that far in a year, because last year people were giving up a 1st and a 3rd for him, and now it was only a 3rd round pick, which seems incredibly low. The Predators and the Wild swapped 1-for-1 Michael Granlund for Kevin Fiala. This seems like a bit of a salary dump move for Minnesota trying to open up a bit of cap space this year and next. It looks like they're trying to open up quite a bit of cap space for next season, especially because they have players like Eric Stahl who are expiring next year. And I'm interested to see if they're planning some big moves for the offseason with this added space. They also get Kevin Fiala back, who is a roster player, a pretty good player, young, pending RFA, but cheap this year. If they're planning to make a push for the playoffs or trying to make the playoffs, it's good that they got a roster player back for Granlund, but this to me is them knowing that they're not going to be challenging for a cup this year, and they're already, even though they're still in playoff contention, dropping out of that. For the Predators, getting Granlund is just another center for them. He's got an extra year on his contract after this one, so they have him for this year and next, and really just makes their offense depth even better, gives them another scoring option up front, gives them another center. I think it's a great move all around for the Predators, makes them really more of a competitive team in the Central. For the big trade of the day, the Vegas Golden Knights get Mark Stone and Tobias Lindberg for Eric Brandstrom, Oscar Lindberg, and a 2020 second round pick. Now, after they got him, it seems they've immediately signed Mark Stone to an 8-year contract extension. Golden Knights have Mark Stone now. They have him long term. This is a big deal for them. They get a very good scoring winger, two-way winger, locked up long-term from this deal, and they did not have to give up a first-rounder for him, which I find quite surprising. And this gives Vegas just another high-quality offensive threat up front, and really also makes them even more of a contender. The Predators get Wayne Simmons from the Philadelphia Flyers for Hartman and a 4th-round pick. This is, again, more of what I had to say about the Granlund deal, just adds them a little more grit, a little more scoring prowess up front. They've added a lot more to their front end this deadline, so I feel like in the playoffs they're going to be just have much more scoring depth and be forced because of that. The Bruins got Marcus Johansson from the Devils for a 2nd and a 4th. Just adding forward depth. Devils get some future. They're not in a playoff spot. They get some draft picks for a pending UFA and, standard trade deadline move. Pittsburgh, whose defense has been an issue all year, they're quite injured in the back end, trade Tanner Pearson for Eric Goodbranson, straight swap 1-for-1. Maybe Goodbranson can pull out that Pittsburgh magic and become a god all of a sudden and be a major part of another cup run for them. I don't know how much more upside Eric Goodbranson really has. He's kind of an old school player in a league that's moved to become faster. And Tanner Pearson just gives the Canucks their depth winger option. Finally, the last one I want to get to, the Maple Leafs traded Per Lindholm to the Winnipeg Jets for Nick Paton. Now this trade really surprised me because I did not realize that Paton had fallen off so much that he was worth only Per Lindholm. Because I remember the 2015 World Juniors when Paton just tore it up, getting 11 points in 7 games. He was just an absolute beast that tournament. Didn't really get that much ice time in Winnipeg, so coming over to Toronto, hopefully we don't give him the Josh Levo treatment and actually play him, because I feel like if he actually plays, he can be very good on this team. He can be a great fit on the 4th line, kind of be like a Tyler Ennis or an Andreas Janssen type on that 4th line. So if they want to play a more offensive upside center on the 4th line instead of Frederick Gauthier, he seems like a good option to do it. Per Lindholm was good in Toronto. I liked him. He was consistent in basically just being 4th liner, didn't make many mistakes, didn't seem to provide very much offensively, but was just all around a solid 4th liner. Disappointing that he only had to play 60 games in Toronto. I really liked to see him get fully used to the North American ice and the North American style of play with us. He was like a top 3 scorer in the Swedish league last year, so I really would have liked to see him take some of that skill and scoring touch they scored in Sweden and I've applied it more to the North American game with the Leafs as he got more used to his time here. He should be a solid 4th liner in Winnipeg and get some solid minutes in with them. But yeah, that's about it for what happened on trade deadline day. So now the rosters are all set. There's just the only way you can get new players is from your farm teams, and let's see, may the best team win from here on out.